If you're a fan of period dramas set up in an English countryside, in that huge old English mansion, I've got a good list for you. Old big estates are perfect setup for an amazing plot. If I hear there is a film or TV series that's happening in an English country house, I'm going to check it. If you're like me, you're definitely going to enjoy the period dramas from my list. So let's just start. First one on my list, Brideshead Revisited. And we've got two options. A TV series from 1980s and more recent 2008 movie. Both equally amazing. If you've got more time, check the 80s adaptation. However, I definitely suggest to watch a 2008 adaptation because it's more modern. It's more like this gloomy ambience, and we've got Emma Thompson, so it's a bonus. Brideshead Revisited, it's for you if you have a middle class background and you're fascinated by this upper classes lifestyle and you're just basically enchanted. This is our main character who is an Oxford student from a middle class background, and he becomes, basically enchanted by the lifestyle and by the country house that belongs to his fellow Oxford classmate. Here, a country house plays quite important role, shows this changing period in the times of the British upper classes. The plot is set up between First World and Second World War. We already see the changes, and it's not as it used to be before. See that aristocratic family, and they still try to, hold to the legacies of the family, the name, the traditions, and we can see that they are like, they're struggling within the family because there's a new generation. There's a completely different way of looking at the things. I think it's like amazing watch, and definitely amazing watch if you like, upper classes, if you like 1930s, aesthetics, and a good story. It's just a very, very good story. If you like a little bit of like a mystery, a thriller, a little bit of Gothic vibe, we've got The Scapegoat from 2012. It's based on the novel written by one of my favorite writers, Daphne du Maurier. Daphne du Maurier is quite famous for creating that kind of like a Gothic feel. The story talks about a teacher from, middle class teacher, and he meets his doppelganger, and the doppelganger comes from a very aristocratic family, and they swap places and things are starts to happen. Story talks a lot about, facade, what we see from the outside, and this is, and it's represented by this house. What we see the outside is quite like it looks nice and enticing, but from the inside there is this decaying house, and there are like very complicated relationships within the family, and our main character, he's just like slowly untangles everything and digs out some skeletons from the closet. Of mystery, gloomy feel, especially of the house. I really love it, and if you're into that kind of Gothic type of feel, definitely watch The Scapegoat. The Secret Garden from 1993, hands down one of my favorite childhood movies, childhood books. There are other adaptations of this novel. However, I highly recommend 1993, and many people would agree with me that this is the best one. We've got Mary Lennox, an orphan. She comes from India to stay at her uncle's big, beautiful, gloomy, and mysterious estate in Yorkshire. We have again this old estate, this old house, like in the middle of nowhere, that holds some secrets, right? And it's kind of overwhelming, especially if you're a 10-year-old child. It's quite of, it's huge, big, overwhelming secrets. This contrast representing by garden and by nature. And it's this, those two things, a house that is kind of repressive, and then we have freedom represented by nature and showing nature in a very, very positive way. Again, healing and the nature heals our main characters, all of them. Such a heartwarming movie, and you can watch it with, by yourself, with your friends, with children, the whole family. Such a good watch. Rebecca from 1940 by Alfred Hitchcock. And I highly recommend watching 1940 adaptation because it's amazing. It's like a masterpiece, and the way how they shoot particular scenes, the playing with light, it's just, it gives you this spooky, again, gloomy and gothic ambience. Rebecca was written similarly as The Scapegoat by Daphne du Maurier, queen of gothic type of novels. Have a young, naive bride who comes to Mendeley, an estate, family estate of her new husband. And she feels a little bit unwelcomed there, especially unwelcomed by the housekeeper. She feels like her husband is hiding something as well. And the estate feels like it's haunted by the ghosts of the previous Mrs. De Winter, previous wife, who died. And how she died, we know it was an accident, but she died in a mysterious, circumstances. And again, if you like that type of feel and mystery, it's kind of like, it's very psychological because you are in the mind of this young bride and you feel like, oh my God, is she crazy? Yeah, am I crazy? Is she, like everybody's making, her crazy and like not thinking straight, or is it who's right, who's wrong, So I highly recommend it, and especially 1940 adaptation. If you want a more modern take, there's a Netflix adaptation from 2020 with Lily James. It's a good alternative, but I would suggest watch first Alfred Hitchcock and then the 2020 adaptation. And now a TV drama. It's a mini-series from BBC, The Pursuit of Love from 2021 with Lily James. There is an old country house, Alconley, and we've got two girls, two cousins who stayed there, spent their childhood. Estate is like on one hand, it's like a playground for them because they're growing up there, they feel safe, they have fun, they're growing to be young ladies. But at the same time, it feels oppressive, like a prison. They feel they're stuck there, that they can't go and spread their wings and do what they want. The plot is set up, in between the wars. Again, it shows that they are these new generations. They want to go and explore the world, live their own life. And here are these, old ways how you should behave as a lady from the upper classes. It's such a good watch. It's such a good adaptation. We've got like lots of modern feels here and there. For example, with the soundtrack, I really enjoyed this one, and I really enjoy a novel. So you can do both, read and watch this 3 episode of miniseries, and you will have like a nice Sunday afternoon. If it's a country estate, if it's a countryside in England, definitely Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie, a queen of, murders, set up many of her plots in an English countryside, in an English estate. Mystery, murder, family, who did that, right? And here I have two recommendations. First one is The Crooked House from 2017. We've got a house, post-war. We've got a patriarch of the family who gets murdered, and again we are discovering the secrets of the house and the household and of the family members. In my opinion, one of the best murders, when you solve and you discover who did that. It's like one of the best. I think it's one of the best of Agatha Christie. So, second recommendation, it's a mini TV series. It's quite recent, from 2025, Towards Zero. It's happening in 1930s in a countryside, in a country house, I think in Devon, near the seaside. So it's just beautiful. I like the colors that they used in this TV series, the looks, the outfits. I really like that kind of 1930s vibes. So definitely this is very pleasant if you're into that. Story is, we've got ex-wife, we have a current wife, we've got, some cousin, and there is a murder, and we're trying to, solve who did that. If you're into, Agatha Christie and murder mysteries, watch it. The Remains of the Day from 1993. I feel this is like art. Yeah, it's like a piece of art. For us, we've got Anthony Hopkins, we have Emma Thompson. Anthony Hopkins plays the butler, who's very, very devoted to the estate and to the family. Shows how our butler sacrificed his life, love, even to serve the family. And sometimes, there are some not very nice secrets, and no matter what, our butler sticks with his family. And it's a little bit about the old legacy and the values. Values are so important. So it's a very, very good watch, and very much aligned with our country house theme. If it's a country house and countryside, obviously we have to mention the Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey TV series run from 2010 to 2015. We've got also like two films afterwards. Year 2025, it's coming, film number 3. It should be the last one, and I think it's the last one because, you need to know when to finish. Right, to be still enjoyable. Such a long story. It starts in 1912, and right now I think they will be hitting, close to Second World War. It's about the legacy of the family, holding to this tradition of the lifestyle, aristocratic lifestyle of the upper classes, how they go through the changes, and they trying to adapt to not always, ideal situations. They try to be good masters, right? And it also shows in Downton Abbey that relationship between upstairs and downstairs, and they're such a good family. They're treating their servants very nicely. Sometimes I think it's just too idealized that it was in real life. But it's like a nice, pleasant watch. It also talks, about more difficult topics. But overall, it's very positive. If you haven't watched it yet and you have lots of time in your hands, Downton Abbey. And the last one, which I'm not sure if we can call a period drama. However, the plot is set up in 2006. And 2006 was like quite a while quite a while ago. Saltburn from 2023. So the plot is quite similar, especially in the beginning, to Brideshead Revisited. So we've got a student from a middle class background. I think he has like a scholarship in Oxford. And he's fascinated by the lives of upper classes, and kind of he wants to, go there, get there, be accepted, I think it's kind of like not even being accepted, it's kind of like a revenge, punch back, because you upper classes, and I'm gonna, I'm going to take everything that you love and you own, as a personal revenge, or maybe a general revenge. There's a twist, and we were like, oh, so you think that the movie will go that way, but it goes completely different direction. So it is an interesting watch. It's not for everybody. Definitely not for everybody. If you're into countryside, country estates, and this representation of upper classes in a more modern setup. This was my proposal for a nice, weekend to spend with some country house estates. You might have watched many of them, maybe some not yet, and it's all ahead of you. I still have more recommendations in my head. I will leave it for the next time. Otherwise, this video is going to be super long. Yeah, we don't want too long. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.